ranking the scene.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Warped Tour? The state of the scene at SOTS Podcast on all social media. Sam here with Marcos.
What's good?
Brand new episode of Ranking the Scene, Marcos, where you and I bring 3 brand new albums to the ever-growing tier list to rank them against everything that's come before and everything that'll come after to figure out what the best album in the scene is, and coincidentally, the worst.
Indeed.
If you want to submit an album for consideration, you can sign up at patreon.com/SOTS Podcast, Marcos. This week, all 3 albums brought to you by our lovely patrons. Once again, patreon.com/SOTS Podcast. Every link you need is in the description of this episode. We've been off for 2 weeks.
We have.
I'm happy to be back. I've been listening to a lot of music, inclusive of these 3 records. And
I've
I'm
been
ready to
itching to rank, okay?
Yeah, you're in a ranking mood?
I've been itching to rank. Always in a ranking mood. Have been deprived from the option of ranking.
Sure,
the ability to rank.
You just start ranking shit at like the grocery store?
And I'm getting amped. Yeah.
It's like bananas, bottom. Oh, okay, shit, I didn't know.
We're
You
banana
fucked with
respecters
bananas
over
that
here.
heavily, right? I'm more of a grapes guy myself, right? Like if I'm ranking fruit, I'm going
whoa.
like, hey, grapes way the fuck up here, bananas
Seedless?
somewhere, anywhere. Who really gives a fuck?
What?
Yeah, seedless. What am I, a fucking
Green
animal?
or red?
It depends on my mood, honestly. I could go
Or purple, black, whatever you want to call it.
bi, to be honest. I like a little split mix. You know what I mean? Little green, little red.
You call it that.
I've been telling everyone I'm bi. Little red, little green. Marcos, this week we bring Siren Songs of the Counterculture by Rise Against, Feel by Sleeping with Sirens, and Collide with the Sky by Pierce the Veil. Big records. Fucking monumental albums in the scene. Are they good? We'll fucking decide that. We'll decide. That's up to us to figure out before we get there.
Didn't know heading into one of them if it was good or not because I'd never heard it.
You never heard Rise Against, you piece of shit. Dog, you're such a little
I heard the
fake fucking
songs,
scene kid, fake
not the album.
pretend fucking literally want to like strip you of your Warped Tour stripes.
Finish the intro.
Dog, you're like,
Finish the intro.
here are your tiers. The very top, GOAT, followed by Masterpiece, Certified Hood Classic, That Bitch, Just Okay, Pretty Mid, Fucking Awful, and A Crime to Humanity. As you can see, the number 1 ranked album we've listened to thus far is Sempiternal by Bring Me the Horizon. Closely behind is Disposed by the Plot and You, and Dying is Your Latest Fashion by Escape the Fate. And at the very bottom, Father of All by Green Day.
Boo. It's starting to fill out, Sam. This
Like
is a pretty
the
meaty
entirety?
list.
Yeah, the center of this thing is getting plump. Like a juicy grape. Let's get into it. Siren Song of the Counterculture. I think I kept saying songs at the top of the episode.
I think
So maybe I'm the fake. Maybe I'm the fake scene kid, Marcos. This was released in 2004. All of this per Hyperbole Sanjay on Genius. Album bio unreviewed. Released in 2004, Siren Song of the Counterculture is Rise Against's 3rd album, dropping both fan favorites and hits such as Give It All and Swing Life Away, songs I assume you had heard. On the default version of the album, there are 12 songs, but Obstructed View and Fix Me are extra songs not originally on the album. Marcos, I believe, both listened to the default version of the album.
we did.
Default
And
is such a funny way to like describe this.
I'm a little confused at the top.
What are you confused about?
I thought that the number 1 song, like commercially, additionally, like just as far as fans viewed it, was Life Less Frightening. I thought that was the bitch off this album.
No, it's not even close to the bitch off this album. The
I thought
bitch
that was the song off this
of this
album.
band's career, and it's not even close as Swing Life Away. Like that song,
is?
like massive. They had a track off of the album that follows us up. I forgot the name of it exactly. It's not coming to mind, but it was pretty popular as well. But like Swing Life Away was little emo playlist, MySpace fucking friendly, forever popular type beat. Like little I'm watching the OC, and in the background I'm hearing Swing Life Away by Rise Against type, you know? So that's no surprise. The ballad took off, Marcos. Who could have seen it coming?
It's a bit of a surprise.
Album artwork, real quick. Would you say memorable?
It is
striking?
memorable, but it's not very good either.
What do you mean not very good?
It's mid.
Okay.
When I say it's not very good.
Looking back on it, the font certainly is a choice.
The font is...
It's got a real,
both
like,
fonts.
fucking papyrus, like aggressive papyrus or whatever they're going for here.
Yeah.
But this is like, this for me, I look at this artwork and it's like immediately like time and place for me. You know what I mean?
I don't
like,
disagree.
This stands out.
I'm coming at it from the has it aged well angle.
Sure.
I don't really know.
No, it's a little clip arty. Like, it's a little clip arty.
It's really
I get
clip
it.
arty.
You thought the biggest song from this album was Life Less
So I guess that's my angle here.
Yeah.
Is sleeper hit of this band's career is Life Less Frightening, which
it's
is
very good.
by far, even just under the impression it was the biggest song off of this album, my favorite track on this record by a mile.
This is one of those bands where you can kind of like read a song title and immediately you got the chorus in the back of your mind. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Life Less, to them these streets belong. Give it all. Like, oh yeah, like I know these songs just reading the title of the track, which is crazy. I think it starts off hot. I think State of the Union is strong. I think this is what every punk band should start their album with, honestly. I think the beginning of your punk album should always start with the State of the Union.
Just default song title.
It's so on brand. I just feel like you should. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the energy right at the top. I like the energy across the board for this entire record. There's definitely an urgency. This band certainly seems like they have something to say.
They got a lot to say.
Feelings to share.
They don't make bands like this anymore.
Certainly comes from a place of intention.
Passion.
Yeah. So for reasons like that, I certainly do appreciate it. Now, do I love this record? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I think
I
it's
feel
a
like this
combination.
style of music is a hard sell for you. Like this, I feel like this lived and died for like a 4-year period.
Yeah.
And like if you weren't there, like you weren't there, so like I don't know how to explain it to you.
It's a combination of what you're saying, and then like, man, I go through periods with this vocalist of absolutely adoring their delivery, their vocals, and like how they sound in general.
It's so funny.
And then at other
that.
times, it's so grating.
It's so funny because I was listening to this album and I'm like, part of me really feels like Tim is just kind of a bad vocalist. But
there's definitely like 2 songs on here where it's like,
but he's authentically
that's
himself.
the take they went with.
But he's authentically himself. Well, a lot of this is like, a little bit of this feels like the compression on like whatever the fucking like studio recording of this is like somebody could have gone back in and cleaned this up like 20 years later, but it just is what it is. There are moments where, yeah, I feel like Tim has a tone. Like he has kind of like, he gets like fired up, but he never like really sings or anything.
Yeah.
Like he just kind of like has his voice. And I'm like familiar with it and I appreciate it, but I wouldn't call him like an amazing singer. Well, but that's a lot of punk bands, you know? A lot of punk bands is like the message and then like don't get mirrored in the details.
But alternatively, it's also like definitely mostly just the one side of Tim that we do see the entire record. Like Tim on State of the Union and Tip the Scales and Give It All and Rumors of My...
Swing Life Away, yeah. The ballad is a little bit of a change up, right?
Swing Life Away is a little different, yeah.
A little bit of a change up. This is going to be the only band in history who ever made Bombardier kind of hit in a song. They do that a lot. You know what works about this band is that I feel like with a lot of bands who kind of like fancy themselves punk rock, the vast majority of them could give an absolute fuck about a melody. But Rise Against said no. We're dreaming big. We can both be punk and be mildly accessible.
Yeah.
And like I think that explains why they had so much success like they did here. Now I'm gonna say this, Marcus.
So before I let you finish that thought, at the time, was their success a surprise?
No, because there were a lot of bands in that space who were doing well. This was like right in that sort of like intermediate period where emo was starting to take off, but bands that like were like Good Charlotte before they became emo, bands like Against Me, Anti-Flag, like they were pretty like radio friendly enough. Like they were popular punk bands. Like you had the more underground scene, and then these were like pop punk bands, but you really leaned into the punk side of that. You know how there's like two versions of pop punk, like you lean to the pop or you lean to the punk.
Right.
These were the punk ones, right?
Were you like sort of already there pre 2004? Or was your first bit of familiarity with the band Swing Life Away? Like when
this was my introduction to them, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Give It All specifically. That track dropped before Swing Life Away, but like I was hooked on that song alone and went to pick this album up.
Okay.
And I gotta be honest. Fucking, what was it, 2004? Is a fucking like 15, 16-year-old me or whatever? Was doing 125 in a parking lot when Give It All came on. Like the opening note to that song is fucking hype level 10,000, dog.
It's pretty good.
Like we're drifting off the fucking exit on the highway. This shit was so hype. It's crazy too because this is also that point where it's like this is before I discover like screamo and metalcore. So like the heavier songs on here were fucking hitting. You know what I mean?
It.
Like this was heavy shit at the time.
Right. This was your like normie's introduction to Sirius XM Octane metal at the time.
That's what I mean. Is you come in with like State of the Union and first drop is like let's fucking go.
I didn't realize they were allowed to get this heavy.
Let's fucking go, dog.
What are we feeling here?
What are we feeling like overall? I think there's a relatively strong consistency to this record. We've obviously pointed out its flaws. Tim might not be the hottest vocalist in history, but I do think as a lyricist, he's fairly strong.
I think I agree with that. I'll also note that I expected to dislike this album coming into it.
Okay.
Walked away that not being the case.
This feels like, looking at our overall like albums thus far, a lesser version of that Billy Talent 2 album, right? But like similar style.
Agreed.
Another band that came out at a similar time with a very similar like window of popularity.
Is that entire record, this one, a certified hood classic? I do not think so.
I don't think so. I'm looking at the back half of that bitch. Is that too much for you?
Can
I put it in a spot and you can tell me how you feel about it?
Is it the very bottom?
It isn't. Thoughts?
I take Dead Throne over this.
Okay.
And part of it, I will admit, is a preference in sound. But I think that Devil Wears Prada album is just tighter. This is a long record.
This almost feels like combating our two childhoods at one another and saying like which nostalgia holds stronger.
Yeah.
But I think today I would probably sooner go back and listen to Prada, personally.
And then, yeah, I don't know if... I certainly don't think State Champs quite hits the same levels that this record
Perennial
does.
bottom of that bitch, State Champs.
Proud
Which is
bottom.
not a terrible spot to be. That's above a lot of albums, as you can see.
Proud bottom. No Hope. It's actually similar because like Garrett is both an incredible vocalist and not a good vocalist.
But not good, right?
Yeah. I sort of like that they're sort of like now attached at the hip moving forward.
But again, you're looking at this and you're saying the Color Morale certainly had more impact on me than Rise Against did because this is an album I listened to for the first time this week. Personally, I could go either way because I really am fond of that Color Morale album as well. So if you say, hey, let's pull the trigger and bring it up one spot, I'm okay with it. If you're saying, okay, let's hold.
No, truthfully, I like it where it is. I think it looks right.
Okay. Marcos, Sleeping with Sirens, and their album Feel, which was released June 4th, 2015.
13.
What did I say?
15.
Feel is the third full-length album by Sleeping with Sirens. Before it was released on June 4th, 2013, 3 singles were featured, Marcos: Low, Alone, and unfortunately, Congratulations. Many other vocalists besides Kellen Quinn are featured on the album. These vocalists include Maddie Mullins, Franz, Shaylee Bourget, and Machine Gun Kelly. Feel debuted at number 3 on the Billboard's album chart. Insane, by the way.
Insane.
21 Pilots just charted at 3
Yeah.
for the record.
For the record, this also did not do 125K.
143, but yes. Yeah. Which makes it one of the most successful post-hardcore albums of all time. This is Sleeping with Sirens' final album to feature rhythm guitarist Jesse Lawson. What did Jesse go on to do?
What
Anything?
they all go on to do.
Yeah?
He either became a barber or a real estate agent.
All right, well, be nice. Be
or-
nice. Be nice.
I am being nice.
No, yeah, but too real.
Those
but
are
too real.
one of them's a government position.
Can you ever look at this album cover without thinking of the tattoo on the side of Ollie Sykes' face?
Ever. This is not an iconic record, but it has all of the qualifiers.
One of the biggest selling post-hardcore records in history. Marcos just needs everyone to know that it is in no way iconic. Are you fucking
It's
with us?
iconic for a lot of different reasons outside of the full record being a good one. Not to show my hand completely.
All right, well then
The
fucking
Cockstar
show.
drama between
Okay,
Ollie
yeah.
Sykes and Kellen Quinn.
Right.
Where Kellen Quinn hits him with did you just tattoo my new album, my top 3 album on your face? Which is like a surprising right hook on Kellen's part in a beef that he was losing.
Oh, you didn't expect Kellen to come with it, did you?
I didn't.
Because he's got he's so unassuming.
He's unassuming.
Right.
He walked a little different after that. I'm not gonna
Sure.
lie.
I mean, I think when you chart number 3 on the Billboard Top 200, you probably start walking a little different overall.
Again, all the makings of what should be a legendary album at the time,
The butt is going to hit so
three-
fucking hard when you say it. It's going to kill me.
3 or 4, at that point in 2013, this is like a Mount Rushmore of features.
It's actually insane going back to this because it's like, I remembered MGK and Matty Mullins, obviously, right? But then coming into this record and be like, Shaley and Franz? What the fuck were they doing
Right.
here? And then I listened to them and they still kind of hit. I think the collaborations on this album are especially good.
I agree. I don't know if I agree, actually.
With the sole
disagree.
exception of the massive problem, the fucking black mark on this record and this whole band's fucking career. But other than that, I think they're very strong.
I think it's 2 out of 2 that are good.
You hate MGK and Matty Mullins.
No, that MGK feature might be one of my favorite features of all time.
Okay, wow.
Leave me? How the fuck you gonna leave me?
The way he says,
When I'm the one that's on TV with these girls screaming outside of a hotel.
Calm down, please. Calm down.
Leave me?
Wait, then what the fuck? Who's the other one then?
That Franz feature sucks absolute dick.
Okay, wow. All right.
Yeah.
You hate it that
this
much.
This is a really awful, the wheels
I thought it was
come
just
off of this
Franz being
record.
Franz, which back in 2013 was quintessential
Listen,
scene.
Nah, let's get into this record. The wheels come off of
We're
it
fucking already in it. Say
extremely
it.
fast.
All right, so we
Boring
started.
title track to kick it off.
You don't like Feel?
I do not like Feel at all.
I think it's fine. I think Feel is kind of like everything we're going to hear from this band for 3 records after, unfortunately. But I think in the context of this album,
Right, a sign
it's fine.
of plagues to come.
And then what the fuck else are you hating on?
And then
Keep
I think
hating.
it's pretty boring until you get Alone. I think Here We Go is forgettable. Free Now, better of the 3 opening tracks. It's the best. But then you get Alone, and for me, Alone is fucking sick. I absolutely love that song.
Okay.
I like the MGK feature. I think that
Rod. The way he says fucking Rod kills me every time. It's so fucking funny.
Leave me.
He's got such a cadence that was so specific to that era.
I am still shocked of all of the things that have become TikTok sounds, popular ones.
Yeah.
That feature has not reared its ugly head ever since.
Get to work.
Just saying.
Get to work.
And then it gets a little more interesting. I like that Shaley feature. It's a good track. The Best There Ever Was is just a very just blah song.
Can I say this?
Yeah, say it.
I think the Best There Ever Was is a significantly better version of Congratulations.
I'll let you have it.
Same fucking big dick energy that they're attempting to portray here.
Yeah.
But that one works so it is the silly, fun,
You were just
slightly heavier
chomping at the bits.
expectation
to get to Congratulations. I'm not going to let you get there
I
yet.
almost didn't finish Congratulations. I was like, I got like 45 seconds into that song, and I was like, do I really need to put my fucking self through this bullshit again?
Save it so I can just get through Low here
fucking
real quick.
PTSD, dog. Yeah.
Which I want to shout out is the best track on this record
Hard
by a
agree.
landslide.
Hard agree.
Huge chorus, that low, like just fucking massive.
Hard agree.
I wish that band leaned into tracks that sounded like Low for the entirety of this record.
Sure.
And then we hit Congratulations, which is the dirtiest, nastiest, most god-awful deep cut that's ever existed.
It's not even
It's a fucking landmine on this record. Like, if you make it this far into the album, it's a fucking kill shot. My approach to this album, going back for the re-listen for Ranking the Scene this week, like, a couple of thoughts in my mind were that, like, I remember disliking this album, but I was hopeful coming back to it that I might actually, feel a little bit higher on it coming out of it. All of that out the fucking window by the time you hit Congratulations.
I had the same feeling as you, but yes, Congratulations just continues to be one of the biggest mistakes ever recorded.
Can we pull that up? I'm curious.
You want the lyrics?
I'm curious if it shares the fucking British voicemail phone call
Answering
thing.
machine. Hello, you have reached the voicemail of singer-songwriter Matty Mullins. He's currently away from the phone spending time with his supermodel wife or writing your next favorite record. Leave a message after the beep and he will return your call as soon as possible. Thank you and have a nice day.
Kellen comes into the... What's up, Matty?
Hey, yo, dude. Hey, oh, yeah. Hey, the track I need you on, man. I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be sick as fuck,
Sam. Man, I need you on this track. The kids don't even know we're about to hit them right now. They're definitely not ready for this. Give me a call back. Let's change the world into the biggest ripoff riff from Pretty Handsome Awkward by The Used that a band could have ever written.
I forgot about
immediately takes you out of this song. And then Kellen Quinn, the first fucking line in the verse 1, welcome to a brand new generation, is like, at that point I'm already dead and we're continuing to beat me alive.
Your corpse is being trampled. Right. So I think part of the problem with this is that, like, it's like expectations destroyed twofold, because it's like just seeing that on the track listing, Congratulations featuring Matty Mullins, you're like, hold on.
Pull it back up.
This is it, boys. This is probably going to be the greatest song in the history of the fucking scene.
Easiest win ever. The band previously spent like 3 Warped Tours in a row selling you on this being like the most talented bromance that had ever existed.
Miles away off a Challenger.
True. And then you get this and you're like, okay, probably the best song off that Challenger record somehow. And then I know.
It's
a good song.
Let's wait till we get to it.
And then, like, you see this and everything falls apart immediately. Pull the song back up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the song back up.
I want to see Matty Mullins' actual feature, which he talks about. Me and my top 20 record aren't too worried about this now.
Sure.
Talking about every fucking label that ever passed the band up.
Sure.
Him and Kelly rule the world. Everything feels so... There's such a disconnect on this song, and it makes it so impossibly hard to relate with 2 vocalists that I normally have such ease relating with.
It's because this song has all of like the I don't know. It's just like, it's fucking, God damn it. It's so hard to like put into words exactly why the song fails so immensely as it does. It's because it has all of this dick swinging energy, and then it just ends up being so embarrassing that it's cringeworthy. Like, it's just like, once again, one of the biggest misses in the history of this fucking scene. Like, it's brutal looking at that song on the track listing.
And then the next 4 tracks are as forgettable as they come. I'm sorry.
Damn, I didn't know you were such a fucking hater of this album.
Deja Vu's all right, but that's what I'm saying. Is like, I came into this hopeful, and I kept getting disappointed. Song after song, like, feels boring. The Best There Ever Was with Franz, don't feel it. I'm not enjoying it. Congratulations with Matty Mullins, Nail in the Coffin, fucking These Things I've Done, Sorry, Satellites, is the gasoline, the match, and then being set aflame. This is a bad record, and I don't want to hate it, but
bad is strong. I think this is a middling to okay record.
I disagree, actually. Where do you think it goes? Because middling to me is probably around pretty mid. And I think that, like, I might take that Slipknot album over this. I'm sorry.
All right. Is it better than Asking? No. Better than Amity? No. Better than Silverstein? No. Better than Knocked Loose? No. Do I prefer it to Suicide Silence? Maybe, yes.
Listen, I'm not going to die on many hills, but I was worried that you were leaning.
No. I'm not
like,
going to be
top
crazy. I'm
of
not going to
just
be crazy. I'm not going to
okay.
be crazy. I'm not going to be crazy. I'm not going to be crazy. I'm not going to be crazy. Not at all. I do think that this album is a bunch of songs that I don't mind, especially revisiting them. I remember being so disappointed with this album, and then I went back and listened to it, and I'm like, it's not quite as bad as I remembered it. I feel like every album, like, from this specific window of, like, post-hardcore, but we're talking about, like, scenecore in general, they all still kind of hit, and they almost hit a little bit harder than they did at the time, because it's like, I'm removed from all of the disappointment of whatever I thought the album had to do to be as heavy as I needed it to be, and now it's like, well, actually it is kind of heavy compared to, like, the new material. So generally I wasn't overly disappointed about it, but I feel like I don't have a lot to lean on in terms of, like, defending this record, because ultimately I would just circle back and be like, yeah, you're right, Low is great. Yeah, I really enjoy Alone. Yeah, Shaylee was really strong in that feature. And then everything else you say about it is kind of correct, right? Like, all of those other songs around him are fine. One or two stick. Every time Kellen Quinn sings about his father, I feel like he's onto something. But then, like, you have something like Congratulations, which is just, like, such a fucking hard stop on that album that it almost makes you, like, reconsider your appreciation for this band entirely. So
Incredibly, possibly the band's worst song. And with respect to Sleeping, they've got some contenders.
they got some contenders. There's a whole album that we'll talk about it someday too. That
A part of me wanted to do it so soon. I think it's time for a gossip re-listen.
And I agree, but then also there's never a good time for a gossip re-listen. This feels right to me. I enjoy this album more than what's going on here. I'm going to be honest with you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't even recognize
this at
one of
its
these.
worst is like, there's a bad song on here, but most of the songs are fine, and a few of them are pretty good.
Why don't I even recognize one of these albums anymore?
Which one is
what's the
throwing
one
you?
after Amir?
You talking about the Mom Jeans record?
Oh, yeah.
Always throws me too. Don't worry
That was
about it.
pretty
Mark's, we got
mid.
one record left this week. Collide with the Sky by Pierce the Veil. Collide with the Sky is the third studio album for post-hardcore band Pierce the Veil. It was released on July 17th, 2012 under Fearless Records. Blah, 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 blah. We all know that the biggest song off of this album was King for a Day featuring Kellen Quinn, but it also included single Bulls in the Bronx, and I believe Hold On Till May. Like, I believe, but I'm not positive.
Maybe.
Because I don't feel like it ever got, like, an official music video, but I could be wrong about that.
I thought Tangled and the Great Escape got a single release.
Did it? Okay, I'm not positive, actually, for what it's worth.
What were your...
Oh, by the way, literally one of the most iconic artworks in the history of this scene, no question asked.
album titles, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That said, I don't know if I've ever gone on record, at least prior to, like, coming back and revisiting this.
Never been a better time.
I don't think that I've ever considered this my favorite Pierce album.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Same.
So my frame of mind heading into this one was, what do I remember about this record liking and disliking? I remember at the time prior to re-listen thinking that it kind of starts off on a really sour, or not sour note. I remember being very unimpressed by the opening track on this record.
You're out of your fucking mind. Is that still how you feel? Please tell me that's not still how you feel.
Let me get to it. I remember being very unimpressed by Tangled and the Great Escape, featuring Jason Allen Butler, who at the time fronting one of suddenly my favorite bands, especially in 2012 in Let Live. And I remember just something about this record never clicked for me in the way that I wanted it to. Coming out of the re-listen, happy to say that opener actually does click for me.
That opener works so insanely well.
So insanely
just
well.
Just the way that it works and the title of the song are so, like, cohesive with one another, and the way that it transitions into Hell Above, man, I had like a real like come to God moment when I realized that this was not Pierce the Veil anymore.
It sucks to remember. And you realize it like about halfway into Hell Above that you didn't hear anything that even sniffs this on the new record.
I don't want to spend too much time on it, but by virtue of comparison, like modern day Pierce the Veil feels like a dull, lifeless board of wood when I listen to an album like this by comparison. Like the intensity that they bring to this, the fucking fire, and man, time passes, people change. This album's fucking 12 years old or whatever. I understand like if all of these things no longer exist in reality, but comparing this and like the modern day band, I don't feel that they replaced everything I loved with Pierce the Veil with something of equal value.
One of the big things the band has lost that's also extremely present on this record is the romance of it all. And I guess what I mean by that is just like Vic has such a way with words.
You're saying Vic was sexy. Yeah, I understand what you're kind of saying because
Vic was fucking on his game on this record.
It's in a little bit of like Misadventures as well too, where you get songs like deep dive kick, deep kick.
Deep breath, deep.
Why can't I think
deep
of
in
the
the
fucking song? We'll come back to it. Let's not get hung up on it.
Yeah, no, Vic is just straight up sexy on this album.
Sure.
I'm low on gas and you to jacket. Just so many 100 sleepless nights. Just we're on our fucking game, and like obviously that would sense disappear. But listening to it again, experiencing this album again. One thing I also wanted to note was never a big fan of Hold On Till May prior to re-listen.
Mm-hmm.
Still feel the same way. That
you've
song
turned on this album
never
in a big
clicked
way.
for me.
Is that what I'm hearing right now? I feel like you've turned on this album in a big way.
I don't know if I've turned on it, but genuinely
come around.
Come around on a couple of misconceptions in that, like, again, that is a good opener. Tangled in the Great Escape is a flat out good song. I don't know what I was on in the past.
No idea what you were on.
Disagree though, or with coming around fully on everything. Hold On Till May still does nothing for me.
That bad?
No, not bad, but like as far as people looking back on this record and it being King for a Day and Hold On Till May right there with it is disrespectful.
Of course, yeah, of course. Now, we don't even have to talk about King for a Day because that, like, if we were doing a ranking of songs in the scene, like, that would just be number one almost perennially. Like, it would be an impossible.
It's also not the best song on this
top
album.
spot. Excuse me?
It's not. Bulls in the Bronx, bro. Bulls in the Bronx goes so fucking hard. I'm sorry.
Shit. I'm a fucking. Am I insane? That I mentioned that was a single, right? I mentioned that was a single.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like Bulls in the Bronx has become sort of like a forgotten gem from this band, disrespectfully. It shouldn't be.
Yeah. This record, I mean, I like Props and Mayhem. I like Tangled in the Great Escape.
Do you remember what Props and Mayhem is based off of?
No.
They're characters from Attack the Block. It's such an incredible, like, specific time and place thing.
I love it, but I don't ever remember why that was.
It's just like one of those, like, I don't know
why that's
either,
the film that clicked for this band.
Who knows?
The first 5 tracks on this album, I put up with like the best of the best.
I'm with you.
It's like
Here's how I remembered this record.
First 20 minutes of this record.
I remembered it falling off viciously in the back half. Now, I don't feel as strongly as I did, but I do think still that tracks 1 through 6 outweigh 7 through 12 immensely.
I don't disagree. I really enjoy the first punch. I really like Stained Glass Eyes and Colorful Tears. And then, yeah, if I had to rank this record like song by song, a lot of the ones in the back half I didn't mention are definitely towards the bottom of that list. So yeah, I think on revisit, still not my favorite Pierce record. Enjoy some things I previously thought I did not enjoy. Some songs like Hold On Till May still not doing much for me. But still no denying that this is a very important record and a very good one at minimum.
It is a very good record, but it is funny that you and I sort of came in with the same perceptions in like the back of our mind, which is that we didn't feel at the time this was Pierce the Veil's best record. We remember feeling that some aspect of it was slightly disappointing, especially in comparison to its singles. But both of us kind of walk away feeling like maybe it's a little stronger than we remembered it initially. All of that being said, it is such an iconic album in the scene. Does that give it a slightly heavier weight than it otherwise would have?
Yeah.
Does having King for a Day alone net you like 4 tiers minimum?
Top 4, yes. Like I think the conversation actually starts at Certified Hood Classic. And then I don't know where it goes from there. I think I take this over Under Oath, Billy, Micah, That A Day to Remember album.
Ooh,
And then it gets a little dicier.
I don't. If I take it over A Day to Remember, I think I would push it as far as taking it over The Story So Far. But I guess I have to ask myself if I take it over A Day to Remember.
What's funny about taking it over Story So Far at that point is we've essentially immortalized Neck Deep in That as the 2 greatest pop punk albums of all time. And there were internal debates when we ranked that album on whether or not it was better than Peace and Panic. So you're saying if it jumps past A Day to Remember, it'll jump past A Story So Far, but it won't jump past Neck Deep?
You know, it's interesting that you point all that out, but yes, that is how I feel.
All right. I think this is a better album than That Micah record.
Yes.
Like minimum, that's where it drops.
We're in agreement, though for what it's worth, this race is tighter than it has any right to be.
It's so tight.
Micah was simply swinging at like a percentage that was inexplicable.
Rookie of the fucking year by far.
You got to think these albums are very similar in a lot of ways, right? Like, you got to look at The Day to Remember, you got to look at Pierce the Veil, and you're talking about, like, some of these bands' biggest songs, real massive breakthrough records, though,
I mean,
they had success prior.
honestly, that's both of their biggest records.
Yeah.
Like, you ask someone what the Pierce album is, what the Day to Remember album is, and
Yeah.
these are both of your
And
answers.
you know what, just like looking at the artwork, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it stands out so significantly. But do I... All right, here's one option. Here's another. And then here's the third. What
the
do
third's an interesting
What
one.
looks right?
The
What
third's
looks
an
right here?
interesting one. I think this looks the most right. I'm not going to lie. But I honestly think it's only between this and the first option, and the second one also looks wrong.
It's just something about having it between those two. It just
Right.
looks so stupid to me. I can't handle it. I need you to really ask yourself, does this have more bangers than A Day to Remember? It might have King for a Day, but does it have more bangers than A Day to Remember?
I'm telling you, the first 5 tracks on this one do a lot of fucking work. But like, it's not just saying like the first 5 tracks and then it's all bad. The rest is still good.
Okay. Yep.
The first 5 tracks of this band operating at like an insane level. I'll let you make the final call.
I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you because I think the level of importance given to like a singular song does hold a certain amount of weight. And when this is the home of King for a Day, that everything else around it is good,
Yep.
is more than enough.
Yeah, fair.
That's been another episode of Ranking the Scene. Once again, you can sign up to patreon.com/SOTS podcast. Only $3 a month gets you a handful of benefits, including the option to suggest an album for Ranking the Scene. We'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody. Leave a thumbs up. Bye.
Good play.